What is going on, everybody? Welcome in to another. Listen, man, we're sad. We're sad right now. Okay, we're sad. Hey, playoffs. Hey, I just noticed that. I didn't even see the freaking shirt. Show off the shirt, bro. Our way.
Fanatic
Or
shipping
the
is
highway.
trash. All right, I ordered this last week, right after we won the wild card game. It came yesterday. Are you kidding me, Fanatics? I didn't even get a chance to wear it when we were actually playing in the divisional round. But
Bro, unless it comes from like those main like sources like Amazon or something, they
unless
don't
it comes from
they don't get
Amazon,
that
that's it,
fast.
bro.
Yeah, that's it.
That's
You're
it.
right, bro. They take forever, bro. And listen, the dedication, everything you put into this playoff hunt is respectable, bro. Respectable.
What do you mean?
I'm just the $100 down,
Oh
the
my
merch,
god!
you're
Don't
getting
remind me about
merch,
that, yo.
the Super Bowl agenda, bro. Hey, I give it to you, bro. I give it to you. I give it to you.
Don't even remind me.
Bro,
I
you can
actually
make that,
forgot
bro.
about it.
You can
I
make that
actually
money
forgot
back,
about
bro.
it. I literally forgot about it until you were just reminding me.
You can make that
I was
money
like,
back, bro. You're a big baller, bro. Big baller.
that's
Well,
cap.
what's up, everybody? Welcome into another edition of the Young Guns Podcast, episode 16. We're gonna get into a lot today. We don't have we have three main topics, but we could branch out in so many different directions with this. So what's going on, everybody? We're starting with Jared Williams. Nova, he said he was gonna freestyle. I guess it was to the intro or the kind of waiting music. Go off, bro. Go off. Sir Bishop in the building. What's going on, everybody? If you guys are in the comments, if you guys are watching, make sure you guys make yourself known in the comments. We'll shout you out. To damn RIP. Did I expect the Giants to lose to the Eagles? Yes, I did expect. Did I expect a blowout? Not at all. Yeah, we're gonna get into it, guys. Don't worry about it. We're gonna be talking all about that stuff, about the heartbreaking loss to the Eagles. But starting off, first things first, was good, Kush. How you
What's
feeling, man?
good is y'all need to smash that like
Hit
button,
that like button,
hit
share
that
it out,
subscribe
share
button
it
if
to
you
Twitter. If you
new,
guys got Twitter, share it to
and
Twitter, share
most
it to
importantly, share it
YouTube.
out. Yeah,
Yeah, Facebook, Twitter, share it. Show your grandma, bro. Show your
I don't
grandma.
think anybody grandma would want to watch a Giants podcast,
I think they would. We're
but
two fairly good looking young fellows, so we
as you can see, my beard is currently unkempt. You know what I'm
bro.
saying?
People like the women dig the hair, bro. They dig
I
hair.
need to go to the barber. You know what I'm saying? Have him like probably trim it up, shape it up a little bit. Still don't know what I'm gonna do with the hair if I'm gonna grow it out like I did last year. That's besides the point. Kid Blue is sad. Kid
Eh.
Blue, tell the people why you're sad because I actually got a little bit of a different take, and I wanted you to go first, so I would offer the contrarian take to your
The
sad.
only the only thing I'm sad about, because I know we're probably gonna get getting into just talking off season makes me excited, but just getting into like talking about the Eagles loss and like Jared said, didn't expect to get blown out. I'll be honest, I expected us to get blown out, but I towards the towards the start of the game, like when we were streaming it, I was so pumped, bro. My nervousness turned into absolute
The
just like
start, you mean
ambition.
first drive?
No. I'm talking about like the start, like when we first started streaming, like getting
Okay, I
ready to
got
start
you.
streaming. Like I was pumped, I like my heart was pumping, but I turned that nervousness into like excitement and ambition. And yeah, it didn't take us very far. And I still think about the loss a bit. And I was telling Kush before the stream, I got a Eagles fan. I know he's going to pop up in here somewhere. Adam, if you're
Where
there,
you hiding is here. So
yeah, where you hiding? Start hiding, bro, because Brock Purdy's going to teach y'all today what a real quarterback is. I can't even say that seriously. But yeah, still a bit sad about how the season ended, but at the same time, I was enjoying the ride. I was enjoying. You ever went on those roller coasters where it's really fun? It's a great roller coaster, has a lot of twists and turns, but then at the ending, it's so rough and you're like this, and it hurts your head. That's exactly what the Giants season did. It was a great ride, but at the end, when the ride stopped, had your head hurting. That's the
so
best analogy I can come up with.
I think every roller coaster is like that. By the way,
No, the
I
wooden
don't think
ones. The
some.
wooden ones, when you stop and you start rattling everywhere, concussion, bro. Concussion.
Listen, I'm gonna get this. Actually, bro, you have the topic right. So why don't you play the topic intro and stuff
Oh
for the,
yeah, I
with the
mean,
well,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
put the
Let's do
overlay
it.
up before I start. Yeah. The Eagles topic.
Let's get it.
And Thibodeau has really grown here in his rookie season. 2nd down and 8. First pass play from Jalen Hurts, who's well protected. Wants Smith, perfectly thrown. Inside the 35 as Smith beat Adoree Jackson for 32 yards.
I just want to before you start, I just want to say it was that play right there where I knew it was going downhill. And that was the first drive. Oh god. Go ahead, man.
So I'm gonna get all of the bad and negative and sad energy for myself out right now. All right. First and foremost, y'all don't know how much I hate the Philadelphia Eagles. Like, the Philadelphia Eagles are the team I hate the most in the NFL. It's not close. If you've been following me for a while, you know without a doubt it's the division rival I hate the most. I hate the Eagles. I laugh at the Cowboys, and I couldn't care less about the Commanders. That's really
Little brothers.
how it is
Little brothers.
in that order. Exactly. But the Eagles are the only one I hate, and I don't know why. Like, I actually don't know why I hate them so much. Like, the Cowboys I should hate, maybe, but like I can't help but laugh at them because of what they do every single year. What they did just this last divisional weekend.
They're
I
just
can't
sad.
help but laugh at them.
They're just sad.
With the
you
Eagles,
just let them rock. You just let them rock.
yeah, it's like a combination of I hate the city of Philadelphia. Like that is something as well. Like
City's freaking
Philadelphia is
trash.
probably my least favorite city in the entire country.
Doesn't
It's
it
so
just look
drab.
It's just gray. It's just gray and
Yeah,
dead.
drab, gray, dingy,
Grungy. Yeah, it's just bad. Bro.
grungy. The people think for some reason that gives them character.
Look at all
Like,
these
what kind of
adjectives we're
character
coming
do
up
you have?
for this city, bro. Garbage.
Like, what kind of character do you have? Y'all are just not good people. You guys, I'll never forget in the
Not
2017
good
NFC
people.
Championship game when the Vikings fans were visiting and they're leaving quietly and nicely after they got beat down. They're out here throwing beer bottles at the Vikings fans, and it's like,
Bro,
y'all are not good people.
Bro, name another stadium or arena in any sport where you can't go to if you're not a fan of that fan base? Can you name one?
And they're gonna be like,
You can't go to the
they're gonna
link,
be
bro.
like, oh, that's how good fans we are. Nah, y'all are a danger to society.
Hey,
You guys need to be arrested.
bro, you guys
Straight
need to
up.
be put on
Nah,
the
but
freaking most wanted
to
list,
get
bro.
back to the city of Philadelphia, ugly, dingy, gray.
Mhm.
You can't raise a family there. Eli said it best, bro. He don't want his kids in Philadelphia. I don't think anybody wants their kids in Philadelphia. There's nothing to do there. You got terrible colleges. All the good colleges are outside of Philadelphia and universities. You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
They
They're
don't
in the
have
other
no like
parts of
University of
Pennsylvania.
Philadelphia. They don't have that.
Nobody got that. My God, like I feel like a lot of my hate stems from my hate of the city of Philadelphia, right? And then it goes into my hate of the character of Philadelphia, and then comes the Eagles. Then comes the Eagles. And you know what? I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, a good amount of it has to do with the fact that for some reason in the 2010s we just couldn't beat you guys at all. I'm not gonna pretend like that ain't a factor, but
Yeah.
that's definitely one as well. Another one is that you guys think you're the best thing since sliced bread after winning that 2017 championship, and you delusional. The Eagles fan base and organization is so delusional. To this
They
day,
made
they
a
love to act.
statue of Doug
They
Peterson and Nick Foles.
That's crazy for bringing them a chip. Not only that, they still swear up and down to this day that they're like the ultimate underdog, and it's like you were not you were an underdog
I
in the
love that you
2017
brought.
Super Bowl, but not the way you guys are blowing it out of proportion. And now you got, I saw literally today on Twitter, Eagles fans tweeting about Nick Sirianni should win Coach of the Year because before the season everybody had the Eagles with a losing record. I'm like, where
Look at the Eagles
where did you
roster.
set? Not KB. Let me hold up. Where did you see that? Literally nobody had the
Right.
Eagles with a losing record.
Shout out
Everybody
Talking
recognized the Eagles
Giants
as a
in the
team with a
building.
lot of good
This is not
talent.
Danny, by the way, but
I keep forgetting my my train of thought.
oh my bad, man. I'm just shouting out Talking Giants.
I'm gonna
in the
take
building.
an axe and
What's
run
up,
it
Bobby?
through your head.
Love
But
last week's guest. Go ahead.
shout out to whoever that is from Talking
That's
Giants.
Bobby.
All right. Listen. Anyway, yeah, you got fans out here saying that they were projected to be a terrible team. I'm like, everybody recognized you guys were a talented team. Everybody recognized you made some great offseason moves. Where is this delusion coming from? So for us to lose to that team, and not only lose to that team in their stadium and they're a divisional rival, and it kicked us out the playoffs, I was sad, mad, and angry. And it was the way we went out too, a blowout. It looked like we were unprepared. At times, it looked like we were being outcoached, and I got criticized for saying that in my reaction video. But I'm like, it's true. It did look like at times we were outcoached. But of course, the most important and biggest thing here was that we were out talented. They just got so much more talent on their team, and that's the job of Joe Shane over the next couple of years to close that talent gap. But I hated it. I honestly don't got anything good to say about the Eagles game, man.
Yeah, and we'll get into it more. I mean, I know it's gonna hurt, but we got to get into it. We got to talk about it, especially for the people. Shout out to Snowstorm Studios. I will be on his show tomorrow. I don't know when it will be up, but make sure you guys subscribe to Snowstorm Studios, man. Good friend Will, he's
Got you.
up and coming podcast.
Sir Bishop got a good point right there with his last comment.
They're gonna try have the Kelsey brothers playing the Super Bowl. Shaking my head. Oh, the script is in, huh? The script is in.
I want the script to be Bengals 49ers. That's what I wanted last year.
That's what I wanted. The Bengals 49ers. But going back to the point where the whole underdog thing, right? Because we all know the Giants have that underdog tag. Like this is the first time we ever lost to a number one seed. We were 6-0 versus them. Versus number one seeds in the playoffs. So, like, if anyone's the underdog, it's us. And this whole Philly, I almost said this whole Philly notion, right? Like, it's funny. Shout out Philly notion. This whole notion that they're underdogs, especially going into the season. I'm pretty sure. I don't know what your opinion was, but I had the Eagles running away with the division. I had the Eagles like.
I had them definitely
smoking.
battling with the Cowboys for it, but I don't know anybody that had them with a losing record.
Yeah, I had them running away with the division because look what they did in the offseason. They got James Bradbury, Hassan Reddick. Those two alone on the defense is like absolutely insane. And then I like their draft, Jordan Davis, Nakobe Dean. That defense was made in the offseason to succeed. Like there was no reason for them to not succeed. So if anything, they're doing exactly what a lot of people expected them to do. Now, maybe it's the whole Eagles thing that a lot of people were like,
hold up. Highlight where you're hiding comments, man.
Oh, here we
that
go.
Last one.
Here we go.
You know the reason I'm not gonna do that I'm not retarded, dog.
They're taking my camera.
I'm
They're
not
taking my
retarded. I'm
camera.
not stupid.
They're taking
I'm
my
not
camera.
stupid. Listen, I'm saying all of this right here for a reason because I'm not at the link. Some of y'all need to realize what it means to be smart, bro. Like, you in your right mind? But I mean everything I said about the organization and really the city of Philadelphia. I've
Yeah.
been to Philadelphia before, which is why
Yeah,
I'm
I've been
saying
to
it.
Philly a couple
I hate
times.
it. Go ahead.
Why does Bradbury? Yes, you are. Yeah, why does Bradbury play with a chip? Well, because we had to let him go due to we couldn't pay him. We just couldn't pay him. I guess that's why he plays with a chip on his shoulder. And nobody. You know what's crazy? He doesn't. I mean, everybody talks about him being a top corner, but like when you talk about like the top corners in the league, nobody talks about Bradbury. He's good, but that's neither here nor there. Let's talk about the actual game, okay? What went wrong for the Giants? What couldn't we get past? To me, before I let you go, to me, it was just we were out, like you said earlier, out talented. We just didn't have the guys. We don't have the guys. We're not there yet. Now, of course, football it's just men going against men, like guys going against guys. Like they're humans. We're all humans at the end of the day. But if you just look at the amount of talent that team had, especially a good example is the wide receivers versus the defensive backs. Where on earth were you going to find an advantage there? We talked about earlier last week when Bobby was on the show. We talked about the slot being probably a good way to start moving the ball downfield, starting to get some, picking at their weaknesses. And we also talked about this team offensively and defensively really doesn't have much weaknesses to begin with. So the fact that we had to try to find and attack a weakness was going to be a task in and of itself. But you could see that the Giants tried throwing the ball. The game plan was just bad, right? We were out-coached in this game as well because not only were we just outmanned as far as talent, the coaching was just not good, to be honest with you. We started defensively, we ran that damn cover two, soft cover two, like the whole game, if it felt like. And then offensively, we just aired the ball downfield. We gave up on running the ball. And Saquon Barkley, again, I think had 9 carries again, if I'm not mistaken. He had another 9 carries this game. In the Minnesota game, it worked because of different circumstances and a different team. But I think we were just outmanned as far as talent goes, and we were just outcoached. We just weren't ready yet. And you can go.
So, yeah, I don't want to beat a dead horse and continue talking about the out talented thing. That's obvious. The Eagles, it's funny. I think the two most talented in the teams right now are the two teams in the NFC Championship, Eagles and 49ers. You look at every position, they seem to have a guy that's top 10 of their position every single where on their team. The only deficit on their defense, deficit isn't the right word. What am I looking for? The only weakness on their defense, if you could call it that, because it was still above average, was their run defense. I think it was ranked 13th or 14th going into the divisional round. Everything
Still
else was
good.
basically like top 5. It was,
and that's crazy because it's still good. That's still like above average.
Yeah, that's above average. That's still
Like,
a
they don't even
good
have
run defense.
They don't have like a
So it's
true
like,
weakness.
and it's like you're probably not even going to be able to run it that much because you're going to be down, which is exactly what the Giants came up against. But I do agree with you. Saquon ending with 9 carries is something I look a little strange at. We did try to get him involved early on, but then after that, kind of gave up on it. Well, like I said, part of me understands it because I think we were already down 14 by that point. So you're trying to pass to get back in the game. But the other part of me is like, why didn't you involve Matt Breida like you did the previous week? Something I've been asking for a long time over the course of the season. They got it done last week, and we had a very successful offense. But in addition to that, I'm not going to continue to bash on the coaches. There's blame to go all around. It was like a complete team loss. There's blame to go on the players. You look like you saw 2 completely different Daniel Jones from the Minnesota week to the Eagles week. Like in Minnesota, calm, composed, cool, collected, making dots all over the place. Eagles week, he did not look like any of those adjectives.
He was tripping over himself maybe 3 times I can count. I was like, yo, there's no way you're
offensive line, of course. And it's like, it makes sense. It's not like we should be surprised. You're playing just a next level defense. And this was not necessarily a criticism, but a question a lot of people had. They're like, all right, the Giants offense and Daniel Jones can do this against the Minnesota defense that's bad. Can they do it against one of the best defenses in the NFL? And clearly we can't. And that's really what it comes back to. All right, they just don't have the talent to do it. But that's why looking forward, I'm like, I saw somebody in the chat say they believe that we hit our ceiling. I'm going to have to disagree. I don't think we hit our ceiling as a team. I think we hit our floor as a team. And that might sound crazy to some of y'all, but we don't have that much talent here. And from this off season forward, we're only going to get better at positions. We're only going to fill out the roster even more. Even if we can't sign big ticket free agents, the draft is there. So I think we only become better after that.
Yeah, and we'll dive more into that. That's our third topic. We'll be talking about, off-season stuff, what we feel like we need to do as a team to get better and compete again in this division, because we won one game in this division, guys. One game, and that's not gonna win you a championship. You have to consistently beat your division to even stand a chance in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Like, we were lucky to end up with 9 wins, almost 10. End up with 9 wins and only winning 1 game in the division. We could have won 10 because of that, tie with Washington. But we were lucky to have 9 wins and have 1 win in the division. That's crazy. You don't see that. If you look at the whole NFC standings or the NFC playoffs, everybody won like at least 3 games in their division. 3 out of 6. And we couldn't even get more than 1. So let's get into, if anything else we have to talk about. You don't have anything else to talk about the Eagles?
Not necessarily in regards to the Eagles game. We could probably take a couple comments I see that people are saying here. Bradley says the O-line wasn't helping. Definitely agree with that. Corey Hyden says, I do see the Giants as a problem in the future. I would agree with it. This what I'm saying? I don't think it's a out of pocket thing to say. I feel like it's very reasonable to say in 2 or 3 years the Giants could be one of the best teams in the NFC and probably the NFL. Snowstorm says, giving AJ Brown 10 yards of space on 3rd and 3 hurt me personally. I know that's something that hurts you personally too, KB.
It's like, why?
Julian loved that game though. You gotta admit, that game he looked terrible.
It was just, I'm telling you, it was just, not only was it the game plan, we weren't ready for the occasion. We just weren't. And here's the thing I'll say, and anybody that just knows what I'm talking about, can understand what I'm saying here. The reason why a lot of people said James Bradbury sucked last year is because when we had Patrick Graham running that soft zone coverage, it's almost impossible for a corner to play well. It's almost impossible. Now, Philly runs like a sort of a soft zone as well. Now, I can't really speak to them because I don't really watch film on their defense, but that's what I hear, that they run soft coverage as well. I would have to look at that, but their pass rush gets there. You understand? Like, their pass rush gets there fast enough where they don't really need to press on a guy to have good coverage downfield, because they're not, the plays don't take too long because you got everybody getting to the quarterback. A team like us where we struggle pass rushing, although we're decent at it, we still struggle pass rushing. We're not consistent enough. Playing soft zone coverage is almost literally impossible to do as a cornerback if you have no pressure. Look at James Bradbury, how he's playing now, playing in pretty much almost in the same system in the soft zone cover 2. Same thing what we did last year when everybody said that James Bradbury was toast and he was garbage. It's like you're setting up your players to fail. So not only, like I said, Julian Love was just he didn't play great. He didn't play well at all, right? But at the same time, the game plan did not help either, where they had constantly these guys lining up, so giving so much cushion to these receivers, allowing the receivers to get a free release and free, able to run their route cleanly. There was no bumping on the route. There was no contact. There was no getting their timing mixed up. Bobby said it in last week's podcast. There's not really a way to stop this team, but you have to slow them down, get them off their rhythm, off their timing. That means jamming them on routes and making sure you get in the way, cut off their routes, cut off their comebacks, digs, whatever. We weren't doing that. We allowed these receivers to run their routes, and we just was there for the tackle. If that, you had a lot of guys breaking tackles too. We couldn't tackle anybody worth a damn. So we had to play more aggressive, and we just didn't do it. We played not to lose, and we lost. So yep, I'll leave it at that. Let's get on to this one.
Count today. We only get one chance, man. One chance. Go seize that. Hey, John's on me. John's on 3. 1, 2, 3. John.
Cousins calls out signals, takes the snap, he's back to throw, he's under pressure, got hit as he throws, completes it to his right, but he's short of the first down as Hawkinson, he's wrapped up. What a play by the Giants!
Whopper, Junior. What is it? Junior triple.
Whopper, Junior. It's a chicken Whopper. I don't know what he said.
Oh my
but
God.
is there a chicken Whopper? Whopper
No,
chicken
it's the
Whopper.
chicken sandwich. They made a song for the chicken sandwich one now too. So now instead of the Whopper commercials, you're gonna see the chicken sandwich commercials. I
Oh
think.
my gosh, they're gonna roll it out the worst times too. But listen, man. Despite all that, let's put the Philly game aside and let's just embrace the season that we had. We can go back in this podcast, and talk about what we expected out of this season from our players and our coaching staff. And although we were very excited to see what would happen, I don't think anybody really thought that this would come to fruition, that we would make a playoff berth and win a playoff game with the roster that we had. We were very beat up as well. Wide receivers went down like crazy. Defensive backs went down like crazy. Good thing that we had Daniel Jones healthy the whole year, besides that scare in the Chicago game that we went to. You know, everything just clicked, man. It clicked, even though with a lot of adversity, it just clicked. Brian Dable should win Coach of the Year. We're going to see what happens with that one. But, recapping the season, starting off with Tennessee. I mean, we don't have to go through every game, but just Tennessee
Set the tone for the season.
Yeah, what really set the tone for the season was that 2-point conversion. That 2-point conversion that Saquon did was like, these guys are not playing this year. Like, Saquon was putting his money where his mouth was, bro. When he was saying early on in the season, everybody says, I'm washed, I'm here to prove them wrong. Because let's be honest, we hear that from every player that comes off an injury or, has a rough patch where people are doubting him. They're like, oh, I don't like that they're doubting me. I'm going to prove the doubters wrong. I'm like, okay, we heard that thing before. And even Saquon said it in years prior too, when he was trying to get healthy and he wasn't himself. This year, he ran with authority. He played like Saquon's I guess determination kind of set the tone for the entire team. Like the entire team was playing.
Not only that, during week
on a
one,
mission.
that set the tone, but also something else that gave a hint was the luck that we had on that missed field goal.
Yeah.
We definitely had a good amount
If
of
we
luck
went
along the way this
0-1
season.
to start the season, I guarantee you, there probably may be more games that we lost than we've won.
Yeah, the amount of momentum we gained off of that. And like I said, every single playoff team, even if they don't go all the way to Super Bowl, every single playoff team, they have some luck with them that either got them there or that helps them win some games. And that's it. That set the tone for us. And by the way, I got the lyric. Shout out to the weird one and Steve, bro.
He looked up the lyric.
Whopper, Whopper, Whopper. A junior double, triple Whopper. Flame grill taste with perfect toppers. At BK.
Have it your way.
It's stuck in my head. I'm sorry, everybody. I hate Burger King.
Came
It's
up with
stuck
that
in my head.
jingle, whoever
They're a
was
genius.
sniffing 3 lines and said, "Listen, this is what."
But you
we're
know
gonna
who's
do.
smarter than the
It's
person that came up with that? You know who's smarter than the person that came up with that? The person that said, let's put 90% of our budget to playing this thing over and over again on TV.
Yo, I want to know who, because you know how these broadcasts, they decide, the time in which, like, the order of these commercials, because it got popular off of the DeMar Hamlin injury, right?
But it was rolling for a while before that, though. Like, people were annoyed with it before even that.
Right, but who the hell put it right after that injury? Like, they have to roll out those commercials.
Yeah, it's not like they decided to put it after. That was just, the slot that they had from before the game. You know how commercials work, right?
I feel like they just roll it out at the, like, they can switch it out.
Companies buy certain slots during whatever program it is.
Right. It could be in that commercial slot, but, like, it was right after.
Well, that was the slot that they bought. It's not like they knew there was gonna be an injury,
bro. Because that's bro. Everybody was like this. Whopper. Yeah, I was like, golly, but
but yes, I agree with you. The Tennessee game, going back to the actual talk here, set the tone for the entire season. It showed that also Brian Dable, even though this last game wasn't the best representative of that, it showed that Brian Dable was not gonna be Joe Judge. It showed that Brian Dable was going to basically try his best and do whatever it takes to win the football game. We weren't going to have any QB sneaks on 3rd down and on 4th down or whatever. That's not going to happen. He's going to instead try and convert on 4th down and try and get up to tie the game or take the lead with a 2-point conversion. And that showed for the rest of the season. I think players already bought into whatever he was saying in the locker room before game 1. And then after game 1, it kind of just solidified the entire his entire mojo, his entire platform that he was speaking to them on, his entire coaching I solidified all of that from game one. And whoever didn't buy in bought in, but I feel like maybe even ownership got into it a little bit. And then like belief and momentum coming off of that is a strong thing.
Yeah.
'Cause we won our home opener. We did lose against Dallas, and against Dallas, talent gap, but also Daniel Jones
Was that week
showed up
3?
that game.
That was week 3, right?
Like, and I remember that game because that was the one game where it was like, or the first game of the year where we were like, DJ looked really good, but the rest of the team, it's like they didn't even walk into the locker room or something. They
Yo,
were nowhere to be found.
I know it sucks to talk hypotheticals, right? But what do you think this team would have done if early on in the season that we were winning games with David Sills and Marcus Johnson starting? Like, what if we got Isaiah Hodgins sooner? What if Darius Slayton was lined up sooner as a starter because he didn't play for a couple weeks? Like maybe halfway through the season he was actually starting to play. Like, I mean, I can only imagine that we would have probably done a lot better. Like,
I agree with you. Like it's I don't like talking hypotheticals are either, and it's hard too. But a
yeah.
big part of myself believes it would have played out the same way because for the first half of the season, we were very clearly relying on Saquon Barkley. The coaches didn't trust Daniel Jones yet. Like
Right, but what about
it took them
I
a full 8 games before they said we're gonna allow you to throw the ball around a little bit more.
I agree, but what about that Dallas game where it was so tight and contested because Cooper Rush was starting and we had David Sills out there trying to, and it was 23-16.
I still don't think it makes a difference, honestly.
I think Darius Slayton and Isaiah Hodgins take care of it. You know what I'm saying? But
That's a big thing to say because I don't remember the Dallas game being as close as you're describing it.
it was 23-16. We were in that game the whole game. It was just they pulled away at the end. And then we threw
if you're pulling away at the end.
But we were in the game the whole game, and then it was that first interception, the second interception of the season for Daniel Jones, and it was David Sills falling on the floor. But
yes, I remember that. The falling
it was
interception.
ridiculous.
And the offensive line didn't show up though, but I don't think it makes too much of a difference. Saquon had 81 rushing yards. Sterling was in that game with 50. We didn't have a receiver kind of break out and do anything. But yeah.
I'm saying. But I'm gonna look at the team stats right now, see where we finished at total.
Go ahead. While you pull that up, like where did we finish in terms of offense? Where did we finish in terms of defense? But yeah, it was very clear. Like the first half of the season, the second half, we saw 2 different halves. We've already talked to death about the offense looking different. Like the offense went from being Saquon Barkley focused and kind of running him into the ground and utilizing him the most as possible. And then like at some point after the bye week, Daniel started throwing the ball more. The only assumption we can make is that they started trusting him, the coaching staff, a bit more, or maybe they started incorporating some more plays because of what KB brought up, the fact that Isaiah Hodgins was now on the team, and they definitely started to trust Darius Slayton more because he was always on the team. And so pass game opened up. You rest Saquon a bit. You put the game into your quarterback hands. But also, as we saw, I think we could both agree, KB, the second half of the year, it seemed like the defense not necessarily took a step back, but there was like a lot more games where the defense was the weak link versus the first half.
I think it was the team getting a little worn out. You saw it in Saquon. You saw it in the defense. We were starting to give up a lot of points early on in the game where, a lot of times we didn't do that. I think they were just getting a little bit gassed out because, I mean, you got to admit, like the amount of production this coaching staff was able to get out of this roster was insane for the beginning of the season. It was bound to slow down at some point, So, and on top of that, we talked about it before that they kind of faced, a more difficult schedule down the stretch, especially facing five out of their six division games, like all at the end of the season. So, they had to like kick it into overdrive, really late in the season, and they just weren't able to do it. They were a bit gassed out. But I got the season stats here, man. It just seems a little bit unbelievable. How do they rank overall offense and defense? Is it like points for or total yards? Like how do they rank overall?
So it's I know for defense it's usually by points allowed.
Points allowed.
And
okay, so we're
I think the point system is how they do like it's the usual one people are using when they're talking about overall.
So we were
there are some sites like PFF, they have their own overall grading system, but if you're going with Pro Football Reference, which is still an amazingly great tool and it's free, just go with the point system.
Yeah, like, we were legitimately just an average team, and I'm okay with that. And a lot of people were talking about top 5. We had this like spat, freaking how this team is top 5 and stuff like that. We finished right in the middle of the pack, and I'm okay with it, honestly. With the year 1 into this Joe Shane regime, we finished 15th in total offense. I mean, offensive rank, 15th in points for, and 17th in defense. So more right middle of the pack. I don't mind it. We were, let me see. And then when it comes to total, like, let me see. We were, it was hard to read this thing. Jesus. So much numbers everywhere, bro. Our passing attack, how do they rank passing attack? Is it by yards? Damn, we were 26th. 26th passing attack, but 14th against the pass. And then we finished with the 4th ranked rushing offense, and 27th ranked rushing defense. Jesus.
I mean,
So we
fourth
have a
ranked
lot of
rushing
things.
offense makes a lot of sense. Just with Daniel and Saquon alone, that's like
Right.
2,100 rushing yards on the season.
Right. So it's clear that we have a strength of the team. And listen, man, that's why you guys got to tune into the Young Guns podcast, man, because we be hitting on some stuff. You know what I'm saying? We talked about it early on in the season, before the season started, how a lot of people thought that the passing game was going to be elevated this season because of Brian
And it
Dable
was to an extent.
it was to an extent, but a lot of people really thought that, Daniel Jones was going to take a major step forward, and Brian Dable was going to focus on passing the ball along with Mike Kafka because of the systems that they're coming from. But we said it here on this podcast that the identity of this team would not be the pass, but it would instead be the run. And I know it seems obvious to a lot of people, but you'd be surprised how much a lot of people really didn't think that we were going to run the ball as much with our, I guess, offensive line that people didn't like too much. And, they didn't really know how Saquon was going to respond. But we clearly have a strength of this team. We clearly have an identity. So long as Daniel Jones and Saquon is still here, we'll talk about that later as well. But with fourth ranked rushing offense, that's something to hang your hat on. That's not easy to do, especially in today's NFL. And then, obviously we got to clean up the rushing defense, man. The rushing defense is, was it 2 years ago? And it was 2 years ago, right? That we had a almost top 10, top 5 rushing defense in the league with Patrick.
We lost a lot of defensive tackles since then, starting in, depth piece.
Right. So there's that, and so
it's definitely when you think back on the season. Of course, we had a lot of injuries. Our entire rookie class got injured at some point. We lost what was supposed to be a starting linebacker in Darian Beavers. We lost what was going to be, and he was for a while, a good rotational piece at the defensive tackle. The guy that DJ Davidson out of Arizona State, and he was getting like rotational snaps. And Joe Shane mentioned it in his closing of the season presser that he was going to be more involved as the season went on. On the offensive side of the ball, Wandale, and what was basically his breakout game is when he got injured. He already had 100 yards in that game, and then he went down. The season could have been a little bit different had our rookies stayed healthy and had just our team stayed healthy. And at least there's one positive to take away, which is that the Giants and Jets are finally agreeing to change the turf this upcoming season. It still ain't grass, but it's an improvement.
It's not natural grass?
No, it's not going to be natural grass. They're still going with a grass substitute, but it's not going to be turf. Yeah, they're still cheaping out, and I don't know why. I really don't know why.
It's because they use that stadium for so much different things that they're lazy with it. It's because they use that stadium for freaking concerts and stuff like that. That's why I know it is. I know, and they don't want to maintain it. That shit is so stupid, bro. And then they're gonna wonder why our guys get hurt. But so we're gonna go into our awards now.
Wait, before you do it, I do want to talk about a couple comments. I feel like you need to pay attention to chat a little bit more.
I've been reading them and then like putting them up.
Like, no, I'm scrolling up to like 10:03, or Michael says, talking about, and this does relate to the topic we're about to get into. 26 can help you, or we're gonna get into after 9 games every year, but spread out his 16 million to 3 to 4 other players. You may win 12 to 13 games. What do you think about that?
There was no way I was gonna give Saquon 16 anyway, but
yeah, we'll leave it at that for now because that is.
Yeah, we're gonna get into that.
Be an actual
and guys, we're gonna get topic. A lot. It's a lot to get into. So I want to roll through this.
And before we talk about the awards, high points of the season, I saw early as well somebody talking about the Jags game. For them is when they kind of bought into the season, and the Jags game for me, I remember, was probably the first game of the season where I was like, Daniel Jones can be that guy passing
Got that
wise
dog
for us
in
because
him.
he put on a passing clinic against the Jacksonville
He did.
Jaguars when we played
He
against
tore them
them.
up. He tore them up.
Exactly.
What that was Wandale had 100 yards that game.
No, that was the Lions game. One they had 100
Oh, it's a
yards.
Lions game.
That was Darius Slayton's game. Slayton with that
Slayton.
big contested catch in the
Yeah.
end zone.
Oh
I was like, you
yeah.
got hands.
That was the first time we scored a touchdown opening drive in God knows how long. That was the game,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
Yep. So like high points of the season, obviously Tennessee, 100% Green Bay, Baltimore as
Nate in
well,
the
and I think
building.
that was back to back, Jaguars, and
Rest
I'd
is-
say Colts. I feel like those are like the really highest points of the seasons. Those 4 or 5 games I just listed off.
Yes, sir. Daniel Jones got emotional and that Marcus Johnson drop on 4th down. That's when I knew Daniel Jones had that dog in him, bro. Had that dog in him. All right.
Let's get into the awards.
Let's get into the awards. So, we have a couple of them here. We're gonna have there's a lot of people are doing this on Twitter, so I figured that we just put it in the show as well. So, offensive MVP, defensive MVP, most underrated, most improved, most underwhelming, and rookie of the year. So
Let's take it one by one.
yeah, we will take it one by one. So offensive, and you guys can put it in the chat too, and we'll talk about it as well. Offensive
Giants,
MVP.
guys, Giants on
Giants, yeah, Giants. We're not talking, regular. So, offensive MVP, and this is it's any player, guys. You guys can go O line, D line. It doesn't matter. Okay, don't worry about like, well, guards never get offensive MVP. So you guys know what I mean. So, let's start off with the offensive MVP, man. Who's your offensive MVP?
Offensive MVP for me. I mean, I feel like it's obviously between 2 players, and I'm just gonna have to see who I give it to.
Yeah, man.
I'll roll with Daniel Jones over Saquon Barkley. I feel like those are the 2 obvious players you're definitely thinking about. And there's actually a third one.
Yeah.
There is actually a third player. Hold up, I might change my answer.
You can switch, guys. Switch.
Because this player directly,
I know where you're going.
Directly, and I mean directly, led to the success of Saquon Barkley and the success of Daniel Jones this season. This player, who you disgusting, terrible Giants fans hated on in his rookie year for no good reason. And now all of y'all are fans of him because he's the best player at his position right now.
Where's Mekhi Becton right now? Where's Jedrick Wills?
Player who faced so much obstacles early on in his career is 100% the offensive MVP and the best player on this team without a shadow of a doubt. I fell in love with this dude as a player back before we even drafted him. Back in December of 2019, Andrew Thomas, the best left tackle in the class.
Bro, I fell in love with Andrew Thomas the moment he threw Josh Allen to another stratosphere. So I love me some Andrew Thomas, and he is my offensive MVP as well. I'm reading in the chat right now. A lot of you guys putting Andrew Thomas as well. Listen, man, he was.
I apologize for getting worked up, guys. I see Nate. He was concerned. He's like, "What's happening here?"
He was
right
legitimately
now.
the.
You see what a vet says?
No, I'm proud to admit I was on the front lines. Yeah, we all were. If Bradley is in here,
we all were. I was not on no hate front lines.
Oh, hate front lines. No, he wasn't. He didn't say he was on the hate front lines.
Oh, late.
Late.
Man, I can't read you
on the front lines. I don't know if Bradley is in here as well. He's a big Andrew. He had his profile picture as Andrew Thomas for a long time as well. But we were the conductors of the Andrew Thomas bandwagon. The train here. So he's definitely my offensive MVP. He was legitimately, no doubt, the best player in football for like the first 6-7 weeks of the season.
Mm-hmm.
He was the best. He was the highest graded player in football. Andrew Thomas was.
Was that who you had before I said him, or you had him from the beginning?
No, I had him from the beginning.
Yeah, I
Andrew
was like,
Thomas,
his
yeah.
name just popped, and I'm like, hold up.
It's because we don't think about offensive
Wait a
linemen, but
minute.
in our
Yeah.
in our segment, we could talk offensive linemen, but he's got to be the offensive MVP. Like everything ran through Andrew Thomas. The fact that Daniel Jones did not have to worry about his blind side was because of Andrew Thomas. We ran the ball very nicely on the left side because of Andrew Thomas. Like literally, we completely took out a defender with Andrew Thomas there. Like they were like non-existent. Every time we looked at the stat sheet, whoever was lined up on Andrew Thomas did relatively nothing in the game. So completely shut him down.
Bro, exactly, Vets, bro. If we look back at Thomas and his draft class, where all the quote unquote experts call him the worst tackle drafted, first of all, Mekhi Becton is a bust.
Stephen A. Smith
All right,
trying to
Mekhi
pull that
Becton
one.
is a bust. Jedrick Wills is a jag. He's just another guy. He's just gonna be like an average offensive lineman, good, but he's not Thomas level. And don't get me started on that overrated Tristan Wirfs in Tampa Bay, who from his rookie year, when everybody just couldn't get off this guy, I'm like, he's good, but he's benefiting from one of the best quarterbacks of all time, and he was already on a good line, and he's playing right tackle. Stop overrating this man. I don't want to put too much hate on him. Let's get to the
We'll see what
defensive
happens
MVP.
when Kyle Trask is playing quarterback. Let's see how good Tristan Wirfs is. But so Mekhi Becton would have been a huge deal if he could have stayed healthy. No, it's not only
Should have, would have, could have. Listen,
it's not only
either
that.
way.
No, hold on, Nate. It's not only that. It's because he doesn't want to play football. His mindset is not there. He can't stop eating, bro. He can't stay underweight.
Even that though,
Freaking Eddie Lacy, though.
it should have, would have, could have. Man, some players are busts because they can't stay healthy. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah.
In a couple
But
years, Kadarius Toney's gonna be a bust.
Your mindset is part of your talent. Your mindset is just part of your talent. And some people, that's just you got to have a good mindset to be a good player. This is what it is. Some people you just got to
Defensive MVP. You go first.
Yeah, so let's go defensive MVP. I mean, I don't think there's any like debate here.
This one is obvious. This one is definitely obvious.
It's sexy Dexy. It's got to be Dexter Lawrence, man. 7.5 sacks from the nose. Not just 3-tech. He's not playing 3-tech anymore. He's playing the nose, for crying out loud. You don't see guys. There's a stat during the regular season. We talked about it before, but for those of you guys that don't know, Dexter Lawrence blows every nose tackle out the water as far as pass rush win rate and pressures and stuff like that. 29 total pressures lining up at the nose. The next one up is like Raekwon Davis or Christian Wilkins at 8, not even double digits. And Dexter Lawrence was damn near at 30 pressures from the nose tackle position. That's insane.
How many QB hits does he have on the season?
I stand by. I would look it up right now.
Man, stand by.
But Dexter Lawrence, man, is so underrated.
I don't think anybody, to add on to what Nate is saying in the chat and then to add on to you, I don't think anybody saw this coming out from him in 2021 at all. Anybody that did, I don't know, man. You're either psychic or you a liar. Just one out of the two.
QB hits 28. That matches, that blows his career high out the water by a whole 17. So crazy. Not 17.
There's not much else I could say about him. He was honestly the only consistent present on our D line throughout the entire year. I want to knock on wood because I don't want anything to happen in the future if I'm misremembering, but I'm pretty sure he was healthy all year long. He was getting pressure all year long. He was getting quarterback hits all year long. He was the only consistent thing on the defensive line and probably the entire defense in general. And he set the tone every single game. And once again, like you said, from the nose tackle position, he needs to be locked up. I know we got the 50-year option on him, but as does Andrew Thomas. We need to lock both of these guys up, man.
Yeah, they're gonna be staples of our. And like I said, a lot of people are talking about Dexter Lawrence. I even heard Dexter Lawrence trade talks during the trade deadline, bro. I was absolutely appalled by it. Even early on in the season, I knew this guy you should not let go of. And a lot of people don't think about the nose tackle position as being or even 3-tech something that you need to prioritize. But look at what Chris Jones does with the Kansas City Chiefs. Or Aaron Donald. Like, of course, I don't think Dexter Lawrence is Aaron Donald, but you could see that when you find a good defensive tackle, I mean, they can work wonders for you. Okay, a good example, the Minnesota game. 4th down, 4th and 8. Everybody knows the infamous 4th and 8 play. Kirk Cousins literally had to hit TJ Hawkinson because Dexter Lawrence would have sacked him a millisecond later. He had to dump it off the tee. Everybody was blaming Kirk Cousins for that bad decision. It was a bad decision,
I
but
mean, the blame still drops on him. Like,
yeah, of course, but Kirk Cousins literally couldn't get off. He didn't even finish going through his progressions before a freaking 350-pound nose tackle was in his face. He didn't even finish his progressions. That's how you know you need to lock this guy up. He's a mismatch wherever you put him on the interior. Like, guys can't. He's too quick, too fast, too quick. He's very agile.
I need Leonard to hit those Pilates too, man. Leo looked like he gained a good amount of weight this season. I'm not gonna hold you.
Pilates,
Looked a bit fat.
Be getting him right. Yeah. So you got Dexter Lawrence is definitely the defensive MVP. Any other answer is just ridiculous. Yuvraj says, Dex's cool and all, but Aaron Robinson is mine.
I'm gonna continue to call Aaron Robinson what I called him. I think it was on last week's show, which is that he's Sam Beal. But yeah.
All right, so most underrated. This can go in multiple ways. Most underrated Giant of 2022. You guys go ahead and put it in your your take in the comments. You want to start off with this one?
Underrated Giant of 2022.
Because there's a couple of them you can go on.
Yeah, let me pause. Let me think. I'm going to say who I'm not going to say. I'm not going to say Isaiah Hodgins because I don't think he's underrated at this point amongst the Giants fans. I think he's getting more than like a lot of love and praise. Obviously you're not saying Saquon. You're not saying Andrew. You're not saying Daniel. You're not saying Dex. So who are you saying? Most underrated Giant.
I got mine if you want. If you need time to think.
You can go ahead and say yours, but I'm gonna take my headphones off because I wanna see if I come up with anybody different.
Okay. So I'll cover this. So my most underrated player is Julian Love. Okay, because Julian Love does not get. This man got.
I have my answer.
All right. So.
Well, first I want to know who you said. Now that I have my answer.
I said Julian Love.
That's a good one.
I said Julian Love because he is underrated in my when I think of Julian Love. Like, I think when you see him play now, let's disregard the Philly game because nobody played well in that Philly game. Julian Love throughout the entire season was a guy that I constantly would write off. Like I don't really care about him. Like he's just there. But constantly every game, Baltimore. You can go through multiple different games where he's just making crazy one-on-one tackles in the open field, third down stops, tackles for loss. I mean, he was extremely productive this year. And even now that I say he's the most underrated player, it's like I don't want to believe it because he's that underrated to me. Like, he's a guy that I believe would not garner a huge bag, but it's something where we got someone that we got.
Remember what I said going into the season, KB, and even going into the draft, and it wasn't necessarily a take that was hot. It was just kind of lukewarm. People were saying they would still like to draft another safety, and we did end up doing that, but they want another starting safety, not Dane Belton. And I was just like, I actually am completely fine with going into the season with Julian Love and Xavier McKinney.
You did say that, and I was the one that said I want another safety, and you asked. Yep. I remember you saying you were okay with Julian Love going into the season. And
Julian Love has been nothing short of really good to great for us this season. My underrated player of the year is actually also on the defensive side of the ball. And this is somebody that's been great for us in games, especially early on in the year and even off the field. I'm going to go with Jahad Ward. I think he's also probably the best value signing of the year by Joe Shane. Yeah. At the beginning of the year, went before Kayvon or Aziz could get on the field and they could get any really type of pass rush. It was Jahad and O'Shane, and Jahad was a huge presence actually rushing the passer from the edge. And even at the end of the season, he ended up being our best edge rusher in run defense. Like, he sets the edge better than anybody else on our team when it comes to against the run. Strong dude, super strong. Even his build doesn't actually tell how much he weighs. I think he's something crazy like 280, and he looks like he's 240.
Something like that. I know.
Yeah, and then of course that's on the field. Off the field in the locker room, he is loved by everybody. He's like a clown. He's hilarious off the field. His Instagram stories are always nice. Absolutely love to do off the field, and it's clear that the team loves him off the field.
I want to know why he blocked most of Giants' Twitter.
That's interesting. He brings a lot of juice and energy to that locker room as well. I think the reason he blocked most of Giants Twitter, I forgot who said this, and it makes sense. I think he was just blocking people that criticized his teammates, and that's as simple as it came down to. Because a lot of people he blocked were like huge Daniel Jones like
Freaking fans,
critics
bro.
or haters, and like there's even people that were talking about Slayton and stuff like that. Like I think he was just blocking people that brought negative energy. Because like if you look at him, he seems to be very much a guy that's like
It's
into
not
like
like
the
he
energy type of
follows
thing.
us, so it's like how is he seeing our freaking stuff? Like it's not like he follows us. I don't know.
I don't know why you're so turned
Like
off
you
by it.
got
It's
to
not that
because you got to
serious.
be looking for it to find.
It's
You got
not
to be
that
looking for the
serious.
problem. He
It's not.
blocked
Come
me,
on,
bro. I
dog.
don't like when
Come on, dog. It's not that
You know
serious.
why? Because I'm still salty because JPP blocked me on Instagram, and
So that
I
got
never.
nothing to do with Jihad, man.
Yeah, but yeah, now I got Jahad that blocked me on
Bro,
Twitter, bro. That's
Jihad
not
Ward is a
cool.
greater giant than JPP ever hoped to be.
Shut up, bro. That was stupid.
At least Jihad Ward got all 10 fingers.
He's 10 fingers down, bro.
Exactly.
All right, so we got our defensive MVP. We took longer than we.
It's so funny because I remember when we first signed him, I was like, "What's this guy's name? What is his name?" Right? That was my first reaction, and I was like, he's gonna be a backup. Boy, how glad I am that I was wrong.
Yeah, and a lot of people didn't even have him making the team, which is interesting too. So, all right, so now here's another one: most improved Giant of 2020. Most improved. You
It
can go.
has to go
And
to
this
one of
another
two
one.
players.
Another one you can go a lot.
It
of
has to go
different
to one and
people.
two players, and because I already gave defensive MVP to Dexter, like I think Dexter actually might be the runaway winner, but I'll give it to Daniel because he definitely had the best season of his career, much like Dexter Lawrence did. He finally looked like he actually looks like a master of the pocket now. Like he can tell when the pocket is breaking down, and instead of running and tripping, instead of getting the sack or instead of making a stupid throw, he actually either smartly throws it away or, as we've seen a good amount of times, extends the play with his legs successfully and makes a nice dart on the run type of throw. One of the major things that basically kept us in games and helped us win games this season. He looked calm and poised. He definitely looks like he's taking advantage of his physical traits and talents. I'm going to go with Daniel Jones here. Even though, like I said, Dexter Lawrence, you could be an argument that he runs away with it.
Yeah, the only reason why I'm gonna go away from Dexter Lawrence is because he switched to a new position. Actually, the position he was supposed to be at, which was nose tackle. So just to switch it up a bit and not have to, I was gonna go with Daniel Jones too, but I'll switch it up a bit and I'll say Saquon Barkley. Saquon coming into this season was obviously the past 2 years was just not himself, right? Due to injury and being worn out and stuff like that, just not himself. Kind of maybe a little bit in a bad mindset as well, in a bad state of mind because of all the negative press and stuff like that. But Saquon Barkley is a totally different runner than what you saw in Penn State. Totally different runner than when you even saw in his rookie season. And his rookie season, he had 1,300 yards rushing. But even so, he was just a different runner. Saquon Barkley is actually hitting the holes, getting in, running in between the tackles, not dancing. And that was his biggest thing from college all the way to his since last year was him dancing around behind the line of scrimmage and getting sacked. Like we never saw that from Saquon this season. Like I don't even remember a time that we saw Saquon Barkley dancing and trying to make a home run play that wasn't there. Like Saquon Barkley is just a different runner this year, and I like how he transformed his game, and it's for the better too. It was definitely for the better. So I'll say Saquon Barkley most improved.
Got you.
All right, so the comments. Let's read a little bit of the comments. We see Daniel Jones here. Nova says, I actually like the Jihad Ward signing from the jump. Okay, interesting. Most improved player, Kenny Galladay, went from 0 touchdowns to 1 touchdown.
That's a solid argument.
Nova said the same thing. They said the same thing at the same time. That's funny. Great mind think alike. Yeah, so I'll definitely say Saquon Barkley there. So the next one we will go to is most underwhelming player. Most underwhelming player of.
Is it not Kenny Galladay?
I mean, I think it would have to be Kenny Galladay. I mean,
like it's still Kenny Galladay.
I think you could
even
go
after that. No, because here's the thing. Even after that 2020 season, we all said, like, I feel like people are just completely forgetting. because a lot of us were all, like basically done with the Kenny Galladay situation
What up,
after 1
Sober?
year, but a lot of us are forgetting that the same thing we said for Daniel Jones, we said to Kenny Galladay. We're like, we got Brian Dable. He's gonna
Right.
get back to some sort of form. He had a touchdown, but he was worse this year. Some of it's not his fault because the coaching staff clearly didn't believe in him and they didn't give him any snaps. But like it's still, the topic is underwhelming, and I feel like he's the most underwhelming. But if I had to pick somebody that actually played snaps and was underwhelming, I without a doubt I'd have to go with Mark Lewinsky because I was really excited for that signing. I thought he was going to be our solution at right guard for the duration of his contract, which was like 2 or 3 years before we draft somebody to take his place. And he came out and it was kind of kaput. He was like a below average guard, and at times looked really bad out there. So I'd go more to Mark Lewinsky.
Okay, I see an interesting one. Before I give my answer, I see an interesting one here. Xavier McKinney, and I didn't think about it until now.
That's
That
not a bad answer.
It's not a bad answer because we really thought Xavier McKinney can make that jump to be a top safety in this league, like a Minka Fitzpatrick type level. In my opinion, I'm speaking for myself. I thought that he could be
it's
like
still
Minka
there.
Fitzpatrick.
I think it's still there.
Yeah, I think it's still there too. Is just the hand injury, obviously, and obviously he didn't have an interception this season, and he had 6 last year. So we thought like he was not. We didn't obviously think he was gonna have more interceptions this year, but maybe like kind of reproduce his production. Or recreate
Kadarius Toney is another one because we traded him at the trade deadline too.
And then
like that's another one where we were like, "There's no way Kadarius Toney doesn't go off because Jason Garrett held him back, right?" So like that's another one too.
We see John Feliciano. I'm actually gonna go. I know it's bad to knock on a rookie, but I have to go Evan Neal, in my opinion. I had a lot of expectation for Evan Neal, and it almost felt like Nate Solder would have been better there than Evan Neal. I love Evan Neal. But everybody keeps talking about the whole Andrew Thomas
That's
thing.
a Jihad Ward if you guys know where to,
And everybody keeps talking about the Andrew Thomas thing, about Andrew Thomas having a bad rookie season. Evan Neal was literally the second worst tackle in all of football. The second worst tackle in all of football, everybody. Like, that's worse than Mike Remmers. That's worse than Nate Solder. That's worse than Bobby Hart. Like, that's bad, bro. We had a lot of bad right tackles, and Evan Neal is not off to a great start. So I'm not giving up on Evan Neal. I think it's just hard to play tackle in the league. I'm going to give him time. But I don't think he's Eric Flowers. But geez, I was definitely underwhelmed. I thought we were going to have a legitimate, like right out the gate. Maybe that was my fault for thinking that, but I thought legitimately right out the gate, we're going to have an elite tackle and a average tackle to start off the season. And we got literally one of the worst tackles right now in the NFL. So that's just like you got tackles that are starting from the same draft he was drafted at, from the same class, that are playing better than him that was drafted like 3 rounds later. So it's just like, Abraham Lucas is looking great right now, So, and I think Abraham,
I was Abraham Lucas fan.
I liked Abraham Lucas. And so you just got a lot of other players right now just balling, besides him. So I would have to say, to me, most underwhelming is Evan Neal. And then
I'm gonna disagree with you, but I'm not gonna get into it because I know you're not an Evan Neal hater.
I'm not a hater. I really hope, the reason why I say he's most underwhelming is because I really was rooting for the kid, right? I was really expecting him to be great right out the gate. Maybe that was my fault for thinking that, but because he's a Bama boy, and these Alabama tackles really don't miss that often. Besides that tackle, Alex Leatherwood, he was garbage, but really Alabama offensive linemen really don't flunk out in the NFL. So that was just me having high expectations. But let's move on to Rookie of the Year. I mean, come on. Nobody's even played the amount of time. Nobody even has.
I was gonna say
it's close.
There's only one dude that's played at least semi consistently in terms of amount of snaps.
Yeah.
That's not Evan Neal, because Evan Neal started a good amount of games.
The only rookie that has good feats is Wandale's 100-yard game, where he hit exactly 100 yards, and you had Dane Belton have 2 interceptions. That's it. I mean,
Cordell Flott had a couple of high moments.
Yeah, but it's not an interception. He just had a couple passes defensed. But Kayvon runs away with this, no doubt, and I think it's just process of elimination. Like, Kayvon is playing at a good level, but he's not like elite right now, right? By any stretch, he's just our best rookie because he was able to stay on the field the longest. I mean, that's pretty much what it was a battle of. Because Dane Belton was a healthy scratch a lot of the times. He was also dealing with a collarbone injury at the beginning of the season. Cordell Flott had a big injury too. Wan'Dale Robinson out for the year. Micah McFadden couldn't get on the field. Darian Beavers out for the year. Bellinger, had an injury for a while, was off the field. So due to a process of elimination, Kayvon Thibodeau runs away with this one. So
Yeah. And also he did have a really good rookie season, and I still say that if the referees they got something against Kayvon, I don't know what it is. And you can't even say it's the
they
Nick
have
Foles
to
thing, because
investigate that because I've never seen a player being held that much.
It's been something since the beginning of the year. You can't even say it's the Nick Foles thing. The referees got something against Kayvon Thibodeau. They got some money on the games or something, or they're angry that he still went high when they wanted him to drop or something like that. Because if this man got some holds called, I think he has just as good as a rookie year as Azeez Ojulari did.
Yeah,
and he already had a good enough rookie year.
I don't know, because it's not like it's like every game. It's not like a couple of games where, damn, this was a really bad game that refs screwed up this one up. It's every game this guy's being held. That was a problem for Dex early on too. I mean, Dex is still being held, but now, I mean, he's just beating everybody. So Dex was being held a lot too in prior seasons when he was lining up at 3.
Dex was being held terribly in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah. We noticed it big time. So all right. So before we end this recap and awards and we move on to our,
is there one more award, or was that the final award?
That was it. Unless you have something else you want to throw in
there. So we did MVP, comeback, right? Or most improved, I should say. MVP, most improved, offensive and defensive rookie,
and then underwhelming.
And then underwhelming. I feel like there's one missing.
If you want to throw one out there, I'm looking at a bunch of Twitter posts, and that's the only ones I'm seeing. If you want to throw one in there.
What about surprise of the year?
Oh, surprise of the year? Yeah, go ahead, throw that one out there.
Surprise of the year, huh? Let me see. Dexter. I feel like Dexter comes back, right? Like, he's definitely the surprise of the year. To not say Dexter Lawrence, I would say surprise of the year.
I'm gonna say this is kind of a little bit of a cop out because he didn't play the whole season, but Isaiah Hodgins.
I don't think that's a cop out. I think that's definitely a surprise. Somebody that we added at the trade deadline that actually turned out to be basically our number one receiver down the stretch.
And a guy that came a little earlier.
Fabian Moreau is a good one.
That's what I was going to throw in there. Another guy that came a little earlier. He didn't start the season with us, but he got here a little earlier. Is Fabian Moreau, where he was talked about being a lockdown corner early on in the season. So I feel like those are two big surprises there.
Because he was supposed to be in Korea at the end of August.
So
we
you're playing in China.
We literally got Darius saying that we get every year 700 yards, make some plays, drop some plays.
Exactly.
He's so consistent. It's ridiculous.
I know it's insane. All right, so let's since we probably only have 20 minutes left, let's try to squeeze this last.
Probably the most important topic.
Yeah, but we'll get vague with it. We'll get really in depth with it as the offseason goes on.
Yeah, I don't know if there was necessarily an aha moment or anything like that. We've just continued to evaluate him throughout the season, and what the coaches were asking him to do, and he was executing the game plans. And Dave's and I communicate on a daily basis. Not just Dave's and I, but the offensive staff and what they're asking him to do, and he continued to prove out throughout the season. So I don't know the exact date or time when we're like, Daniel's our guy, but we're pleased with how we played this season.
All right. So I didn't watch all of the press conference, and I don't really care to, because it's not like these guys ever give any information worth. There was a little gaff, I guess, that Joe.
I watched the entire press conference because it wasn't long. It was 20 minutes or something.
36 minutes, man.
Oh, it seemed shorter.
I was like, no, thank you. But there was one little I guess piece that that went viral on Giants Twitter where kind of Joe Shea misspoke and said, we're happy to have Jones back or something like that. And I think that's just blown out of proportion because he mentioned a lot of times in this
I
press
think it was
conference.
definitely blown out of proportion. Yeah,
Yeah, it was blown
people
out
were
of like
acting as if, oh my god, they
yeah,
locked him up.
like he
He's
said it
getting a $50 million deal.
like he said it right in the beginning of the freaking press conference that they're still working on the deal. Like that they're in communication. Like no, he even said that they haven't even started talking about the money yet. Like they just said that they want him back. They don't know. They haven't really gotten to the numbers. So, all right. So what's next for Big Blue? Listen, I feel like I say this every year. I was really excited for last season because it's a new regime, right? You don't know what you're gonna expect. Like Forrest Gump. The draft is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're gonna get.
That never made sense. A box of chocolates has the paper with exactly what you're gonna have in
Okay, back in the day, maybe they didn't. All
They
right.
did. It's not that long
Listen,
ago.
listen. Are you trying to go again? Listen, you got on me about the Geno Smith line not making sense. You're gonna go against Forrest Gump like that? That's one of the all time
Forrest
best
Gump
movies
is
of all
my favorite
time.
movie all time. All right, but
Thank
I
you.
can call out when it didn't make sense.
They ripped me off. They wrote me off, but I didn't write back. No, shut up. Anyway, what's next for Big Blue? Listen, like I said, we always get excited for these drafts every year, but this one I feel like is very, very exciting because the fact of where we got to in the divisional round with the roster that we had. Now we have what, 7 more draft picks? Maybe more or less around there. 7 more draft picks, $58 million in cash. Not that I want to spend the bag, but we have money and we could free up a lot of cap with Leo's contract. We could restructure that, or I don't know what they're gonna do with him, but he's due $32 million this year. And Kenny Galladay due a lot of money as well. But if we let him go, I think we save like 10 or $11 million in cap. So we have other ways to get around getting even more cap. So $58 million is already a lot of money. Getting, even more cap by restructuring or even cutting players or even
Well,
trading
let's start
players
at the
may help
top.
us.
I think we could both agree Daniel's gonna be back. I think he is gonna be back.
That's where I want to start. Yeah.
I very much doubt. I've seen people throw the idea around that he's gonna sign with another team. I definitely think he's gonna explore his options, but I think he's gonna explore his options for the sake of trying to like get the Giants to give him a better contract. Because I think Daniel wants to stay here. It seems like he has a really good bond with not only Saquon Barkley. Well, I mean, him and Saquon actually have a tight bond. So if if we let Saquon go, maybe that affects him somehow. But I think that he's gonna want to stay a Giant. It seems like him and Brian Dable have built a good relationship as well. I just can't see another team offering him that much more money,
Mm-hmm.
like where it's like such an insane amount that he can't turn down. Because even though there's teams that definitely are gonna throw an offer or two at him, I don't see anybody necessarily throwing the bag at him. Like that Eagles game, and I'm not saying this to be a Jones hater because I'm not a Jones hater, but that Eagles game showed that he still has a little bit of a ways to go. Like he can't cut up the best defenses yet. And yes, like I said earlier, that is also because there's just such a talent gap between our offense and their defense. But I feel like it maybe drew back a little bit of the hype that surrounded Daniel coming off the Vikings game, right? I think he's going to be back. Saquon is the one I'm mostly concerned about because he said that he wanted to come back on a team-friendly deal, but he turned down a team-friendly deal. That's $12 million a year. Like the report came out that he turned that down.
He may want to get a little closer than
Oh,
what
oh,
because
my light is falling.
he may want to get a little closer to more like the league high, but not exactly hit 16 million that Christian McCaffrey is making because there's a big
I was
gap
going to
there.
ask you what
There a
is your walkaway number, because my walkaway number is not even far from what they offered him. If he wants more than like 13, I'm gonna be honest, and you guys know I'm a huge Saquon fan. I might have to say nah, bro.
Yeah. I like there would have to
Like
be
12 would
some
have been
real.
perfect.
There has to be 12 is perfect for me. I would I would be very hesitant with 14. Very hesitant with 14. The fuck? That rain or that's rain. What the hell? There was not a cloud in the sky. Oh my. Well, anyway, it's pouring right now in Florida for whatever reason.
Yeah, it was snowing here.
What the freak, man? I just took my dog out too. Thank God. All right. I'd be very hesitant with 14, but like at the same time, I want Saquon back, but I'm not gonna push it too much. I would like it if we did something with his contract where either I prefer to front load a contract at all times because I don't want to deal with backloading a contract and have to deal with what Dave Gettleman left us. So yeah, Yvette said 13.5. That seems like something that would be my ending point. I probably wouldn't reach 14. 13.5 would probably be.
And the thing is, and somebody, yeah, it snowed in Queens. Yvette, you're in the Bronx? Hold up.
He's a thug, bro.
First of all, that racially motivated. First of all, second of all,
First of all, I said
gonna
thug
get you.
in a good sense. I'm from the Bronx, bro.
I'm gonna get you canceled one day. I'm gonna have to
Yo,
pull up. I'm gonna have to pull up
this
to
is
you,
his
Yvette.
motive. He wants me to get canceled.
I'm gonna pull up to you one day, Yvette. I didn't know you were in the Bronx, bro. Anyway, what was I saying? Yeah, with Saquon, somebody brought up in my stream last night, which is a very good point. Maybe it wasn't the money. Maybe he didn't like the amount of years that they gave, and I'm like, oh, that's good because we don't know the details of the contract.
Bro, if it was 12 million 2 years, bro, that's stupid.
It's wishful thinking, of course, but I would hope I would hope, yeah, maybe they offered him 12 million 2 years, and he's like, well, give me a 4-year deal, give me double or something like that. But even if Saquon goes, and was probably the biggest part of this offense. I haven't taken a look at the draft class yet, but all things considered, everybody's saying it's an absolutely stacked running back class. So I'm not.
Yeah, down the list, like from like second round to
on Barkley,
round,
KB. But we're gonna get 1,000-yard rusher somewhere.
Yeah. Here's the thing, like I think the priority of keeping Saquon here is not only because of his production and what he does on the field, but the state of the team. I feel like he's a staple of this team, and I feel like if we
he's
lose
the face
Saquon,
of the franchise right now, even though some people don't want to admit it.
I feel like if we lose Saquon, we're going to lose a big part of this team, and it's going to affect the team, and it's going to hold them back a bit. I know a lot of people don't think of it like that because a lot of people never played football in their lives or been part of a team in their lives, and they just play Madden. But team morale is a big thing. When you lose someone in that locker room that meant a lot to the team, it definitely does something to your locker room. It does something to your franchise, and it's going to impact it. It's going to impact it a bit. I think Saquon Barkley is a guy, just like Sterling Shepard, in my opinion. The reason why I really want to keep Sterling Shepard around is because he's a big part of this team. Like he's the longest tenure part of a player on this team. I wouldn't throw the bag at him to make him stay, but like Saquon Barkley, Sterling Shepard, Dexter Lawrence, like these are guys you have to keep on the scene. Xavier McKinney as well. Like we're gonna have to talk about him soon. These are guys you have to keep around because they're staples of your team. They're they're the glue to your team, and these players rely on those particular players for leadership, to get the team going. Like I said, Saquon Barkley's play of how he was tearing it up in week 1 set the tone for the season, set the tone for how these players were gonna react and play. Like they felt like they had to play better because Saquon was out there giving it his all. That 2-point conversion was huge. And so, like I said, it's not because I like highlight. You guys know I'm a film dude, bro. I don't like highlight reels. I don't watch highlight reels like that. Saquon, I'm not in it. I don't want to bring Saquon back because I want the highlight reels. I don't want, I want the spin moves and the crazy jukes. And I want Saquon back because he's a great player and a hell of a freaking leader, a great teammate, a brother to a lot of these guys. They love Saquon there. And he's like Kush said, he is the face of the franchise right now. You don't want to let that go. You just don't. So I would push as far as I can possibly push to make sure he stays here. Now, I think, in my opinion, what the argument may be is guaranteed money because this is the first year that Saquon Barkley is relatively healthy. Remember, he had a couple of scares in that Green Bay game with the ankle. There was a couple.
The shoulder was the most important thing this year.
Yeah, the shoulder as well. And then, there was a point in time, maybe a 3 or 4 week stint where he just didn't look like himself, where he kind of looked a little bit gassed out. I think it may be the guaranteed money that could be the problem, where you don't want to offer a lot of guaranteed money to a 26-year-old running back with injury history, right? You just don't want to do that. And so maybe Joe Shane kind of lowballed him with the guaranteed money and just felt like he's going to have to take that. So, I think they'll probably have to go back to the table, and maybe Joe Shane would probably listen to me nicely here. Listen to me carefully. I think you have to keep this man here. Now, I'm not saying give him 16, but if you can push to 13, if you can get this man to 13 and guarantee a little bit more money than you were initially going to do through negotiations, just guarantee more money. Because if we could find a way to make Saquon not the primary target, he will stay healthy. He will stay healthy. Like, look what we were doing with Saquon towards the end of the season, where we're relying on other players. Daniel Jones, we're relying on his arm more, his own Daniel Jones's legs instead of Saquon's legs. We're getting Isaiah Hodgins more involved. If we can get to a point in our offense where Saquon Barkley is not running to the ground like 2014 DeMarco Murray, then we will be able to re-sign Saquon Barkley, give him guaranteed money that he would want, and not lose sleep because he stays healthy. Like, we have to find a way where Saquon Barkley is not running to the ground. So that's what I would say about that. But I'm sure Saquon stays as well, Nova. I think Saquon will stay. I think he loves his team that much, and I don't think he's in it for that. I always say this, and maybe I'm wrong sometimes about players. I feel like Saquon really doesn't care about the money too much. I think he just really, I really don't think he cares that much about the money. I think
I hope so, but even the more logical side of me says that we should still draft a running back.
Thanks, Steve.
Even if we keep him, we should still.
Oh no, yeah, for sure, bro. There's nothing wrong with getting like a 5th round running back. I heard Tank Bigsby is a 5th
we need
round.
We need our very own Tony Pollard. Like, we need that.
I would love that. Exactly, KB. That's what I said too. Even if the number was 12 million, we don't know all the logistics that were discussed about the deal. People are overreacting. Saquon will be here for a good price. I think that as well. And I think it's just the guaranteed money that may be the issue. So we'll see what happens. And listen, guaranteeing money to a running back is not something even I would do. And I love the running back position.
I don't know why they don't just tell him we're gonna slide you 20 million under the table. Why don't they just do that?
Joe Shane's own money.
We're gonna give you a house and a car and 20 million, bro. Like, Alex NFL teams, they be confusing me sometimes because it's like nobody's gonna care, bro.
Alex says, KB, I've been seeing your TikToks every once in a while. Are you posting more there now? I try to post my stuff like that I don't post here, maybe more NFL centric stuff, and maybe some like funny skits or like memes or whatever I'll post on TikTok. I want to be more active on there. It's just like, I wish this was my job, guys, because if this was my job, I would be devoting so much more time to YouTube, TikTok, Twitter, stuff like that. But, I work 40, 50 hours a week. So I try to make as much time as I can to make content. But yeah, keep your eye on TikTok, man. I'll be creating more content there for you guys too. So, but yeah, Daniel Jones, Saquon Barkley out the way. What do you think about Dexter Lawrence? Do we got to sign this man now, right? You think
we definitely lock him up? I don't know what the nose tackle market is.
Well, the nose tackle market is gonna. You're probably looking because remember Dalvin. We went through this with Dalvin. The top paid ones are like 14, and you would have.
And Dexter I'd be completely fine with giving him.
He deserves 14.
It depends if he pulls a Leonard Williams and he says, "Pay me as a non-nose tackle."
You can't.
Leonard pulled the pay me as a defensive end when he's a defensive tackle. Maybe
you know why?
Because say pay me as a defensive tackle, even though I'm a nose tackle.
You know why? The situation you run into, the conundrum you run into, is the semantics of the 3-4 position, because Leonard Williams was always a 3-4 defensive end.
Yeah.
Which is the same thing as a defensive tackle.
4-3 defensive tackle.
But because he's in a 3-4 defense, he's technically a defensive end. And I watched on film a couple of times, he would line up at the 5 tech. He would line up at edge a couple times in Patrick Graham's defense. So he felt like, hey, I deserve to be a defensive end. But I believe they still paid him as a defensive tackle, didn't they? Or am I wrong?
Earning $32 million a year, I think that might be defensive end money.
No, it wasn't. No, because that's because the contract got backloaded. That's why he's getting 32 right now.
I think it's 20 something a year though. So even then, it's like
okay. So it's like edge rusher money. Okay, yeah. So
it's like close to
Dexter Lawrence. Dexter Lawrence cannot do that because he's not an edge.
So I think we should lock up Dexter without a question. Andrew would be probably Andrew would be 2 years too early because we still have the 5th year option on him. Or not the 5th year. Like, he's gonna go into his 4th year and then we have the 5th year.
Next year.
So next year we'd lock up Andrew. But yeah, without a question, I'd lock up Dexter Lawrence. This offseason in terms of free agents is really going to be keeping our own, is what it is. The most impact and new players you're going to see is going to be from the draft. Like, that's just what it is. And speaking of the draft, you guys know my statement on the wide receiver position. I'm not going to hash through that again. But because of that, I've been leaning more linebacker or corner in the first round.
No, corner, I don't debate you on that, but we gotta stop with this linebacker talk, bro. We got into a
No, we
big
don't.
Twitter space. We got into a
Linebacker
big Twitter
linebacker is
space debate,
so
bro.
undervalued right now. It doesn't make any
There's no
sense.
linebackers in this draft, first of all.
Oh,
Second
well,
of
like
all,
I said, I don't know, but I'm like,
no,
if
no,
there
I
is,
feel
then
you
yeah.
on that. I feel you on that. I feel you on that. That we just don't know what's there on the market right now. But even so, bro, even so, there is no reason why you don't attack corner or wide receiver, bro. There's just no. We're in the perfect spot at 25 to get a wide receiver where we're not going to be freaking banging our heads against the
We
table if
could, but
we miss
like
someone.
I said, because of my stance on it, unless somebody that should go like top 15 drops to us, I'm taking corner. Taking corner and getting your wide receiver in the second round. Get your linebacker in the third, like Fred
I don't
Warner
want
and
to do
Dre
it
Greenlaw.
anymore,
I
man.
think we're back-to-back third-round picks.
The reason why I don't I feel like we're running into this wide receiver problem that we did with the offensive line problem a couple of years ago, where all the fans, and this is not you generally, this is just what I hear on Twitter and stuff like that with the wide receiver position now. A couple of years ago, we're talking 2014, a little bit after that, after we drafted Eric Flowers, we kept saying we need offensive line. Eli has no time to throw. We need offensive linemen. What were we hearing during draft time? I want a wide receiver. I want a corner. I want all these sexy positions. I want a quarterback. Everybody was preaching every single position except offensive line, and we weren't going to offensive line. We were getting what these fans wanted, and they were still complaining about how the offensive line is garbage. I think that's where we're
The
running into
difference
that now
is,
with the wide
though, is
receiver
that you
position.
can get a wide receiver in the second, third, and fourth round. We've both agreed
I
on this.
agree.
So it's not a mistake to go corner.
I agree, but there is a glaring hole at this wide receiver position right now that is not that is there with the linebacker position, but the linebacker position is not anywhere near as
I've
important
already
as the wide
switched off
receiver.
linebacker. I don't know why you're talking about it still.
You said linebacker.
I've switched off it since you were like, "There's nobody here." I'm like, "All
No,
right, then
I'm
cool," because I
saying
didn't know
even
that.
I'm saying even if there was linebackers in this draft, even if there was, I don't feel like that's an important position enough to go linebacker instead of the wide receivers that we have. Like I feel like it's either wide
I
receiver or
would
corner.
disagree a little bit, but like I wouldn't disagree enough to necessarily fight you on it because I still rank corner as a better need than linebacker. And so
I and you know what? Yeah.
I fall back to cornerback where I'm like, in that case, your argument is
Mhm.
still like why you're still going because it's like we both agree that corner is a
Yeah.
big thing and
If
corner is probably going to be there more than a number one wide receiver or
I
like
agree
not
I
number
agree
one
with
wide
you.
receiver, one of these wide receivers that everybody loves.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's just like I don't want to be in a position, and this is not towards you at all. I don't want to be in a position where we're constantly drafting second and third round receivers and hoping to make it work. You know what I mean? Because we did the same thing with the edge rush position and with Dave Gettleman. It's like I don't want to do that.
I'll say this though, KB. I would actually be fine if we do that because once again, we've seen countless times you could actually find somebody that hits in the second and
Agreed.
third round.
Agreed. But I just want a guy. Like I want a guy that we don't have to worry about. Like, can we develop him? And then if he develops, like yes, we develop him. Like I want a guy that's gonna be like we don't have to worry about him. You know,
We are
where he's
going
just
to
gonna
get
go
a
out there and be
guy,
a dog.
and it's I guarantee you, knowing the way Joe Shane talks, is gonna be like a second round guy that turns into our number one wide receiver, and
I
he's
hope
gonna be
so
good.
because one day will better turn out well. Uh,
Yeah, all right,
but
one day I'll
listen,
tell you that.
I love the idea of corner in the first round too, bro. If you're like a guy like Joey Porter, which a lot of people are thinking Joey Porter will be there at a Penn State. That guy, I would love him on this team. So, I know all of Jonathan. You're talking to a Boise fan, bro. I know all about JL Skinner. All right, we need a safety, bro. JL Skinner's our guy. I would
Nobody
love him.
with the last name Skinner can ever be a good football player.
That was a shot at Bobby. But trade for a wide receiver. The only wide receiver I'm trading for is Brandon Ayuk. What's your thoughts?
I'm not even trading for Ayuk because he'd be up in what 2 years?
Yeah,
Like
2 years. But
okay, so
he's
maybe I do, but like 2 years is not that much. Like I don't know.
I know,
I
I know.
would
I would rather go in the draft, trust me. But like
I would rather
Ayuk is
sign
a
him
guy.
just like how I would rather sign T. Higgins in a year.
Oh, okay,
But
okay.
2 years is longer, but so maybe I
Yeah, but
consider it.
the thing is with signing him, we have to be the highest bidder pretty much. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you trade for him, it's kind of different.
Yeah,
But
they're not gonna accept anything less than a couple firsts for Brandon Ayuk though.
I don't think a couple of firsts.
I think a couple of firsts. They
Odell,
definitely recognize.
Odell didn't
I think
go
they
for
definitely
more.
recognize the value they have in him.
Odell didn't even go for more than 2 firsts or
Yeah,
more
and
than
we still talk about the Odell trade to this day as like,
yeah,
that was kind of undervalued.
yeah. So, get Tremaine Edmonds. No, I like Tremaine. I don't love him. I like him. He's very young as well. He came into the league at 19 years old. He's 24 now, hitting the free agent market after his 5th year option. But listen, Roquan Smith just killed the linebacker market. So, and I said this on a Twitter space, and I don't know if you guys agree with me. The linebacker position, you only pay the linebacker position if you're ready to win a championship. That's a luxury position that you pay to say, hey, I'm locking up this position because I want to win a championship. The Baltimore Ravens did it because they felt like they can with Roquan Smith, Fred Warner in San Francisco. Any top paid linebacker that getting that kind of big money, these teams are trying to win championships. And if they're not, you're not going to, they're making a dumb move if you pay a linebacker $20 million and you don't feel like your team is ready around that linebacker yet to be getting that kind of money. So I'm not a big pay the linebacker guy. I'm a big draft a linebacker guy. So, all right. So any more
No, and it's
comments? Go
coming up
ahead and
right
leave
on the
them.
time. I was gonna say I'm gonna have
Yeah.
to
Yeah, dip
close
out.
out
So
soon.
you guys leave your last comments, questions, concerns in the comments. We're gonna get ready to wrap this one up. This was a good stream. Got a lot to talk. We had a lot to talk about. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get more in depth with the draft stuff as they go around. You guys know every year we do the mock drafts. We're gonna have a lot of guests on the channel as well, giving their takes on free agency and the draft and how the season is gonna go. But a very exciting offseason we have in front of us for the Giants this upcoming season, man. Joe Shane's 2nd year in this. You know, I really want to get more of a feel of his draft strategy because he really threw me for a loop in his first draft. I don't think his draft was bad. There was just a lot of other places I could have went. Even with hindsight, there were a lot of guys I wouldn't have drafted that Joe Shane did. But I'm getting a feel of the draft strategy a little bit. He's not really going as much as they say. They always say it because they don't want to tell the players you weren't the best player available. But they always say BPA. This was not a BPA draft we had in 2022 that Joe Shane had. It was not BPA. It was for their scheme. They drafted players that fit their scheme, and I'm all for it. I'm all for it. If you feel like you're gonna get guys that not necessarily valued there, but they fit your scheme and you have a plan for them, then I'm all for it. But yeah, I'm happy. I'm happy where they're going. I just want to get a better feel of his draft strategy.
I also I really like the way they handled the last press conference, and even though I have no idea where they might go, I like that as well. You know what I mean? Like I feel
Yeah.
like as a fan, if you have a good GM, you shouldn't know what their next move is.
Right. Never know what the next move is.
I'm guessing.
Keep them guessing. All right, guys. So that being said, guys, we're gonna wrap this one up. Thank you guys for joining in. We'll be back next week on Cush's channel, 9:30 Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday night. And yeah, no more Giants football, guys. So I don't know how we're gonna pull our B-roll, but we'll figure it out. But all right, guys, we'll see you guys
Won't be
next week.
some interesting.
Later.